world. With 18 years of marketing experience, my next guest has led marketing for a range of sized organizations from enterprises such as HPE and Emerson through to pre-IPO Silicon Valley startups. One of the most forward-thinking and driven IT marketing professionals I've ever had the honor to work with. Please welcome Ben Beeching, Senior EMEA Marketing Leader at Mega International, to the show. Ben, are you ready to get radically transparent with me?
Hey, Jen. Yeah, good to be here. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Looking forward to it.
Marvelous. What's the value Mega International is bringing to your customer base?
Sure. So Mega's about a 30-year-old enterprise architecture company. So sort of in terms of business results, that kind of means customers can sort of rationalize, complicated sort of application landscapes, if they've acquired other companies or, just got a sprawl of different applications. It can also mean they can optimize processes, make sure governance, risk, compliance, and all that good stuff's under control. So it's basically a whole suite of sort of next gen modern solutions that help solve those challenges.
Love it. And you're just the man for this episode because we're going to dive into IT and tech in just a moment. But before we do, right, you have 18 years experience as a marketeer, and I don't know whether to say congratulations or how are you doing it, or it's such an ever-changing field. What on earth is keeping you up at night these days professionally?
I mean, I had to think about the 18 years actually, by the way, because I was thinking, is that the correct number now? But I think it's about that. Possibly ever so slightly more even. But yeah, I mean, almost like every marketeer, it's always just making sure we get the right sort of quantity and quality of leads coming through, the funnel really. So, for Mega, that means, we in the UK particularly, we just want a good solid number of, demo requests, trial requests, that kind of thing coming out, with people with sort of relevant opportunities. So yeah, it's just about producing the right sort of type of content across the different stages of the funnel to, sort of build that trust with people and then sort of nurture them along the buying journey, really.
Absolutely. I think after leading this podcast for now, 2 years, at the top of every marketing leader's mind is pipeline. And that makes perfect sense. Now, when I think about pipeline, I think about marketing today and right, all the transformation we've gone through, marketing really comes down to people, math, and processes, right? When it comes to building a compelling customer journey, like we know at the end of the day, we need to manage pipeline, we need to grow pipeline, we need to bring leads. That's the most important part of our job. But a lot of times when it comes to processes, it's very easy when we're looking to measure everything in a process that is going to scale, that we sometimes lose the humanization aspect of what we were hired to do. So in your opinion, how are you building compelling customer journeys? One that includes, let's say, both marketing and sales activity, taking your customers into that journey without forgetting that these are people at the other end.
Yeah. I wrote an article recently talking about sort of B2C and B2B marketing, and actually although they're sort of widely regarded as quite different, actually the more you look at it, it's still people working in businesses. So but we at Mega, we try to sort of really understand the different types of persona that it is, that we're trying to have a conversation with. So it can be everything from sort of chief information officers, CIOs, through to actually the people, the practitioners as we call them, that actually would be the ones using the tool. So a lot of our content sort of it tries to talk to different audiences, and it's not just either seniority. It can be different departments, different business functions, people with different types of challenge, even within say IT. So we're just trying to sort of put almost as silly as it sounds, put ourselves in the buyer's position and sort of think, would this content be enticing? Would I, even simple things like sort of subject lines on the email, would I be compelled to click to find out more, etc. And we're trying to put that throughout all our content, throughout our different, social posts, means of delivering it, etc. So that's on the one hand, on the sort of individual level. And then I guess sort of on the account level, also we try to be, rather than sort of blandly send generic stuff out, we try to be a bit more in tune with different industries, whether that's getting feedback from some of our friendly customers, about different people in their industry, or sometimes it's just simply a case of keeping your finger on the pulse with, what's going on in a let's say the public sector, for example. And that's proving quite successful, just to show you've put a little bit of thought and effort into figuring out what pain points they might have in that industry, governments digitalizing, trying to reduce cost, etc., through to banks trying to sort of keep on top of regulation and that constant, sort of quicksand of that, really. So yeah, I think just to sum up, it's really just sort of on both company and an individual level, trying to sort of pick out some stuff that we know that they're suffering with, really, for want of a better word.
Makes sense. Listen, I think that when it comes to the journey, right, hyper personalization, we all know today that without hyper personalization, and if you're just treating kind of doing blast emails out, right, that's a way of the past. But it can be a challenge understanding these personas and what kind of content they're going to relate to, which brings me into my next question, which is really around the data points that you're using to map that journey or to understand that persona, right? So I'm going to ask two questions. The first is, right, what are some of the tools currently in your Martech stack that you're using that you find play nicely together? And then the second question to go with that, right, is how are you assessing and optimizing, right? What data, like, how do you know what to look at the end of the day, right? All these different tools are bringing all these different data points, intent data, whatever it may be. What are you focusing on, and how do you know that the data points you're focusing on are the data points of truth?
Yeah, I mean, so the first part, our Martech stack here at Mega is basically Salesforce, Pardot, Sales Navigator, obviously Oktopost, and we use some sort of tools like Canva and things like that to produce our graphical content. But yeah, so I mean, how we sort of work all that data together, a lot of it funnels, a lot of the sort of knowledge and intel funnels through both Salesforce and Pardot, really. But the marketing point of view, I tend to sort of lean on Pardot quite a lot, for that sort of granular insight. But yeah, I mean, we use that data sort of in many different ways. So it's not just like who the hottest sort of sales ready leads are. It's to kind of see where people are on that in their sort of, I guess, journey, to use the cliche, throughout the content. We've got different types of reports and dashboards created where we can sort of see the engagement with different pieces of content, for example, and look at who's who a particular, let's say, ebook or white paper is resonating with. And then sort of also I sort of, one of my daily things is I look at sort of top interactions, people that are sort of seem to be showing a lot of activity, and just sort of pick the right time to sort of send them a little personal follow-up to say, is there something that you'd like a bit more help with, or anything else, that type of thing, just to build a connection.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, it's as simple as that, and then we use Navigator, Sales Navigator, to kind of build a bit more intel around different accounts and those individuals, who their colleagues are, who their sort of management team are, etc. Have a look at the account, see what's in the news. So yeah, that's basically what we use and how we do it.
I love it. What are some of the insights that you're gleaning or taking away, if you could sum up, from social, or how are you, if any, when it comes to social media, what are you kind of looking at, and then how are you incorporating that into the bigger story or the bigger picture?
Yeah, I mean, we do actually analyze that the functionality sort of that we like within Oktopost, where we can look at sort of either the bigger trends. We've got it set up so we can look at intel on sort of different campaigns by product area, which I use a lot, to sort of guide sort of how and when we post for my region. But also, I think sort of on individual posts, as simple as what time to post stuff, what type of stuff to post at different times, the engagements, etc. So yeah, and obviously, being able to drill into exactly who has interacted with the post is obviously useful, because then I can sort of have a look at if they've looked at anything else, and basically sort of bring that insight into the process that I talked about for the last question, really sort of just forming a big sort of good picture of who's the most engaged.
I love it. And you lead me nicely into my, we have two more questions left, but you lead me nicely into the next one, right? I always like hearing success stories, especially when it comes to creative marketing campaigns. And I was wondering if you could share with us today a story behind one of the campaigns, perhaps that you have led, that had great success, and just walk us through a little bit about what that looked like.
Yeah, I'll point to one actually with a previous company, only because being honest, it was the first thing that sprang to mind. It's probably the benefit of sort of retrospect. But it was we worked with a company to produce kind of a nice piece of analysis around the industry. So with Druva, kind of at the time, one of the sort of challenges we had was kind of it was a great product, etc. But the kind of the category of product was quite new in terms of sort of needing to back up and govern data on endpoint devices. So our biggest competitor was kind of do nothing. So it's kind of getting over that. And this analyst report kind of went out and sort of figured out, kind of what the challenges were, what the threats of sort of, a lost laptop or, data falling into the wrong hands, etc. I mean, it kind of sounds a little bit dated a few years on, because obviously, most organizations are pretty well aware of, whether it's our home office kind of, lost laptops on trains or whatever. But, it's at the time it was about raising awareness of this issue. Yeah, and that just worked really well as a campaign. It kind of kicked us off, sort of in the UK, really, with actually sort of properly reliable content funnel, pipeline funnel.
Yeah.
And we developed a lot of content off of it as well. We were able to sort of gather some intel on sort of what stage different prospects were at, etc., etc. And yeah, I mean, I've applied that kind of concept in more recent times with Mega as well. But I just kind of picked that one out because it was the first of that type I did, really. So yeah, I'd say that.
I love it. Ben, you're definitely going to be, down the line when I'm kind of coming up with campaigns. I'm totally going to cross-check with you, because you've had so much successes with the campaigns that you run. Last question, and it's my favorite one of the show. And I was curious, can you tell us one thing about yourself right now that we cannot find out if we simply look at your LinkedIn profile or Google you?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what's where actually, but I used to run an ice hockey team.
Really?
Yeah, so I used to play as a kid and stuff, and then kind of always stayed interested. And yeah, my sort of team I supported as a kid, UK ice hockey, it's kind of cult following is what I'd say. Like it's not huge sort of in the mainstream media or TV, but it's those that are into it, it's a pretty big thing for them. So yeah, I managed to sort of get involved, sort of running the team and stuff. So yeah, that was a really good experience. And yeah, I mean that was sort of frontline B2C marketing right there. So it was very different to what I've had sort of normally. But yeah, that's one thing about me.
Hockey's fantastic. I've never played, but I do have some friends. I'm originally from New Jersey, so the Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
So I do know, and then have a lot of friends who are huge fans. But that's great, and I thank you so much for this interview. Thank you for joining me. And if anyone is looking to learn more about Mega, or perhaps connect with you when it comes to marketing and IT or campaigns, where is the best place we can reach you?
Yeah, cool. I mean, you can contact me anytime. I guess LinkedIn. With Mega, it's just simply mega.com. But yeah, by all means, contact me and we can we can connect.
Fantastic, Ben. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
All right, you too, Jen. Thanks very much.
Thanks for tuning in to the Radically Transparent podcast, brought to you by Oktopost, the only social media management and employee advocacy platform architected for B2B. I'm Jennifer Gutman, your host and director of social strategy here at Oktopost. And if you love today's show, we'd love if you subscribe, rate, and give a raving review wherever you get your podcasts. For more discussion on B2B social media marketing, be sure to follow Oktopost on LinkedIn. And of course, to gain access to all our free social media marketing and employee advocacy resources, head on over to our website, www.oktopost.com. Until next time.